Yo, but look, we're not going to do things the regular way since it was so long ago. But there is a couple things we did want to talk about. We alluded to this. Our offense in the last 2 weeks, we played good defenses in Philly and Pittsburgh. We've seen how they've kind of put a clamp on our run game. JD5 has not been too electric. I think last week against Pittsburgh, he had just over 200, like 222 or something like that. And this week, I don't even think he broke 200. Back-to-back weeks where our punter outgained our quarterback. You know how I love that stat.
It's a good stat. It's a good stat, Sean.
But at the same time, this offense that put up 41 against the Cardinals, that put up 40 against Carolina, albeit at Carolina, that has been putting up numbers and looking good. What the last couple games against formidable tests, games that we wanted to see our offense can prove themselves, they haven't looked that good. Will, what is your thought, man? What's going on with us?
Yeah, no, they are struggling. I do love your special team stat, actually, your comparison, because I mean, obviously, if a punter is gaining more yards, that's not looking good for your offense. So I do like that's your thing. But some of the things we were able to do in the last couple games, or in most of the season, just has gotten stopped. Our third downs have gotten atrocious, basically. We were 3 of 12 on third down in the game on Thursday night. What used to be able to sustain drives and or get big chunk plays that were exciting was not happening, and that hurt the defense. That's kind of why, like we were talking about, even if we had gotten the field goal in the fourth quarter, we're kind of like, you know what? The defense is gassed right now. We, after being, perfect on fourth down, we went 1 of 2. So we finally got stopped, and it was kind of a big one we just talked about. But for me, the bigger differences is, and I wasn't surprised because this is a Vic Fangio defense.
Yeah.
The Philly runs. He is a great defensive coordinator, and they are gelling right now and he runs a too deep safety defense. He's going to force you to throw the ball underneath. If you notice, Terry and they're like, well, Quinyon Mitchell, beat Terry because Terry only had 1 catch. But that's the defense. They're not going to allow you to go after the receivers, which in games past against Philly, Terry has gone off on them. He's been a very formidable player. They took that away. Austin Eckler was our leading receiver, 8 catches for 89 yards. They'll take that all day. Yeah. Philly will take that all day. And one of them was on an early play that he got a big yardage on. Zach Ertz, 6 catches for 47 yards. So you're telling me that if they're going to hold just 140 yards passing of our 2 top receivers, Philly would take that all day. Yeah. So we played into their strengths. They've got defensive linemen that are active and their pass rush is active. So it is a concern about our offense, but let's also look at the other side of the coin or the other side of the field and say their defense is good.
Yes. Oh, wait. You mean those Georgia boys that we discussed? More than just the 2? More than just the 2, Will. I tried to tell you last week. Good God. And you think I like talking about Georgia boys? I know Handy's here, and I know he's harping on
Jordan Davis sucks. Okay, N'Kobe Dean is just a regular linebacker.
They didn't suck against us. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, he did.
But to your point, man, even in that, and we know with the 2 high safeties, they took away that pass game. And albeit we know that Jaden might be a little bit more hurt than he's letting on, and we'll discuss that in a little bit. But when the pass game has struggled, one thing that we've always had to lean on is the run. And we've seen that when B-Rob is not in the game, our offense doesn't seem to have the same giddy up. Well, look, B-Rob was in there. He had, 60-plus yards, but that was about it. Eckler didn't have much. Jaden obviously wasn't able to do much. And it could tell throughout the game. We lost the battle of first downs. We lost the battle of time possession. One of my keys to victory was keeping them off the field, which means one of the things you said, I think, was got to get that run game to do that. And we were not able to continue to keep the drive going, get those little yards and things of that nature. And that it really makes you ask the question, we know about Kliff Kingsbury. We know about his offense. 3-4 years ago with Arizona, they started 8-0. They were lighting up the league. Everybody was like, man, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. And then they completely fell off. You know, there have been years where they went up 6-2 or something like that. And albeit injuries to Murray and I think it was Hopkins at the time, and then they fell off. Is his offenses being found out, or is it maybe the fact that we really have always talked about the fact that we don't really have big name receivers outside of Terry, and maybe we're just getting exposed by good defenses? I mean, what do you think it is, man?
Those are great questions, brought up, and it could be all of that. Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to say it's the Kliff Kingsbury offense that is getting found out, but this is what happens in the league. You put a bunch of film out there, they're gonna study it. They've got assistants who are out here breaking down film every single day. That's their job. During the week, is to break down the next couple games and compile all that stuff and give it to the coaches. So there is the ability to study film and see what they got going on. So I'm not ready to say this is Kliff Kingsbury and who he is, but we could say, there's stuff out there, there's tendencies that people are catching on, but it also could be we just are playing good defenses. Yes. We are 7-4, but we're not a number 2 team in the NFC. We are still rebuilding, and we're getting exposed. Like, okay, now you're playing some tough teams. Now you're playing against similar playoff teams, and guess what? You're not beating them. You're playing with them a little bit, but you're not beating them. But I will say, there is the question. Go ahead.
Are you saying we're not a top 5 or top 3 offense in the league?
I was going to mention the fact that on their chat, you called us a top 5 defense. They're in the first half of the Philly game.
By the numbers, we were top 15. That's all I'm going to say.
You're like, are they top 5? I was like, top 5, Sean. What? Okay, their plan had a good first quarter.
I did say that. I did.
But, one thing I will get critical about Kliff about is he got away in the fourth quarter from the things that started to work. When the offense wasn't doing anything, he started to get into a no huddle, quick tempo, passing the ball. Yeah. And we had the play that he swung it out to Bates, and it looked like I thought Bates got the first down. I couldn't believe that they marked him short. Yeah. And it was the whole sequence. But then he went back to the well with run plays, and they were getting stuffed. Yep. Anthony's not listening or commenting right now, but his guy, Jalen Carter, not Davis, who's a nobody, but Jalen Carter was making himself noticed in that game and redirecting some of the runs or preventing Robinson from getting to the line of scrimmage with the head of steam. And so I was like, well, Kliff, what are you doing? And then like on fourth down, it was a busted play, but it just the play calling right there. It was like you needed to abandon the run and just keep moving the ball.
Yeah. And that was something that we go back to the Pittsburgh game where we talked about it. Like those first couple drives, and obviously, albeit we didn't have Brian Robinson, but in those first couple drives, it looked like Kliff. Like, what? Like, are you playing timid? You playing a little nervous? And then this one is just like things weren't consistent. It just looked the offense, even in the first half. Albeit we got the lead, but it wasn't consistent. It was the defense that was really kind of shutting them down and giving their offense headaches. But in the second half, to me, I think I tend to lean towards more of what you were saying, where it's not necessarily that they found him out as much as it is that these guys are professionals too. They're looking at the film. They're doing all these things to come and play. And look, we mentioned before the game that this is not a best time for us to come into this game. We only had 3 days of rest. We just lost to a tough Pittsburgh team where we fought all the way through and lost it at the very end of the game to then come into a tough divisional game. Yeah, no, this was kind of to be expected. But I was thinking about a little bit more. You already know your boys in here who say, what you say about the homie Big Baby? I try to tell him.
He's nobody.
But Jalen is a monster. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We got to remember, and I know Anthony tells me this all the time, we got to go back. When we go back to college, the last time that Jalen Carter and Jaden Daniels met was in, I don't think it was the SEC championship. I think it was just an SEC. Was it the SEC championship?
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, where late in the game you see Carter get through and then just kind of take one arm and lift up Jaden and just kind of take him off the ground like a big kid playing with like a little tyke, and you're just like, oh, okay. So this is the first time playing them. So yeah, much of the same, with the 3 sacks. I mean, look, there was some things on this offense that looked decent. SEC championship game, yeah. There were some things on the offense that looked decent, but there was also some hiccups. And there's a lot of stuff I think we're middle of the season now. So people are starting to find out what type of offense we have. So, when you get to that point, then you just have to beat people. Then you just have to out scheme and out think them and out
make plays.
Yeah.
Make plays.
That's going to be something.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders